Phones were designed to connect us, but they're quietly training our brains to stay anxious, distracted, and exhausted. On this week's episode of the Broken Traditions podcast, we're going to unpack how heavy smartphone use fuels anxiety, kills focus, and wrecks our sleep. And I'll share real stories and data you cannot ignore. What's going on, y'all, man? Welcome back to the Broken Traditions podcast with your host, Leron Gaskins, aka Big Ellie.
They call me Big Ellie.
On this week's podcast, we're going to discuss how heavy phone use raises anxiety, ruining your focus, and also mess up your sleep patterns, right? And on this episode, I'm going to use 3 examples of myself at jobs, right? Previous jobs that I had, 2 previous jobs and 1 current job that I have right now that, heavy phone use kind of play into the 3 things that I mentioned: the anxiety, the lack of focus, and ruined sleep patterns, right? And I want to hear from you guys. Do you realize the heavy phone use, is it, raising your anxiety? Do you find yourself being less focused? Do you find these things happening because of the heavy phone use? If so, let me know in the comments below. But here on Broken Traditions, we like to talk about the overconsumption of cell phone use, right? Whether that's just too much screen time, whether that's scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, on Threads, on X. So I want to help you guys break away from that, right? I have a 7-day workbook called The Digital Release. It's a book that I made. A workbook is a free workbook. I leave it in the pinned comments so you guys can check it out if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube Music, wherever you listen to this podcast. I leave it in the show notes so you guys could check out The Digital Release. It's a free workbook. And also, if you guys checked out The Digital Release and you have some comments about it, let me know. Email me, leron@brokentraditions.com. So this episode, I want to talk about 3 things: anxiety, lack of focus, and sleep patterns when it comes to overconsumption of cell phones, right? And let's start with anxiety, right? Let me ask you this. Have you ever felt uneasy, or have you ever felt tense after a long scroll when you're on social media, even when nothing bad has actually happened, but you just feel this level of anxiety? And I know that feeling all too well. Let me tell you about a coworker that showed me how constant media noise can shape your mood. So this coworker that I had, right? This is back when I used to do breathalyzers into people's cars. So I used to work in the garage. She worked in the front office. Let's call this coworker Keisha, right? So Keisha would constantly sit in the office in between seeing clients or seeing people that need to come in that, was doing the paperwork and the clerical work. She would sit there and watch Fox News all day. All day. She would come in, get herself ready, get her coffee or whatever she's drinking, maybe tea, get her stuff together, ready to sit down at her desk. And once she sit down ready to work, she turn on Fox News. And she will watch it all day, playing in the background, Fox News, right? The constant political noise made her paranoid about everything, right? I remember she would not even allow her kids to ride the school bus, right? Her kids, they were older. I would say they may be like around, let's say like 9 and 12, right? She would leave work, go to the school, pick the kids up, bring them back to her job, and have her kids under her because she was so anxious. Her anxiety was so high. She thought like a school shooting was going to happen or a terrorist attack was going to happen in the school bus, and she wanted to make sure that her kids were safe. So she constantly watching Fox News, right? She was paranoid about everything. She used to kind of be like, "Ron, can you believe this is going on?" Da, 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 da. It was always a constant thing that she was battling with. You watch Fox News, you have maybe 1 to 4 people discussing a certain topic, right? Each person could elaborate on a topic for, say, 2 minutes each, right? So you get 2 minutes of consuming what that person is thinking or what that person is saying. Then you get another person, you get another person. So each person is 2-minute spans. Then after the 2-minute spans, they may collectively talk about it. Then after that, you want to have a commercial break, right? Just for you to gather your thoughts, and it goes back, which is a lot of information coming in, but the information is coming in at a pace where our brains could process it. And now I'm thinking about her back then when I used to do the breathalyzers. This is about maybe what, 20, I want to say 2012, right? This is around like 2012, 2013 ish that I was doing the breathalyzers in the vehicles. Now, let's fast forward. Now, let's put Keisha in the same scenario or the same mindset that she had watching Fox News all day. Let's put her in the same mindset of someone who is scrolling on social media all day, someone who is looking at information at a rapid rate. So instead of a person having a 2-minute dialogue about a certain topic and goes to the next person, or one person like a panelist, say like maybe a Tucker Carlson back then, right? Say Tucker Carlson is having, a discussion on whatever. He's giving his thoughts and you could process his thoughts and listen to his thoughts. Now imagine her scrolling on social media and seeing, if you want to be generous, 30-second sound bites. Sometimes you might just look for 5 seconds and scroll to the next, scroll to the next, scroll to the next. Now your brain is processing all this information at a rapid speed that, we're not really used to as humans, as taking in information, right? So you have Keisha now scrolling on social media and seeing all these different things at a rapid rate, not what she was seeing in Fox News. Imagine her anxiety now. Imagine how she feels letting her kids on the school bus if that was the same person on social media as opposed to watching Fox News. Not to mention, imagine her seeing something, say it was a school shooting, right? God forbid she saw a school shooting on Fox News. On social media. Instead of just having the curated information that was given to you by Fox News, or you could say CNN or MSNBC, whatever, national news channel like that. Now she's seeing this on social media, and now she's looking at each comment. So each comment is either people affirming how she feels or negating how she feels. So that also raises your anxiety at a rapid rate. The overconsumption of social media use, especially like taking in information like news like that, our brains aren't wired for that rapid, context-free information. There are no longer commercial breaks. You can skip commercials from a swipe. There are no more segments of really breaking this down and having your brain process what that person said. You're just seeing 30-second clips if you want to be generous, because you're on to the next curated thing that the algorithm want to show you. That's what you're on to. And from 2014 to 2024, anxiety rates in the USA and in the UK rose from 35% to 40%. Think about that. In a 10-year span, we are at a 35 to 40% increase in anxiety. Heavy daily screen time is strongly linked to depression, suicidal thoughts in teens and young adults. So let's talk about the focus, right? How focus is under attack when it comes to doom scrolling and overconsumption of phones. Have you ever tried to lock in on your work or your study only to find yourself reaching for your phone every few minutes, right? I suffer from that, right? I faced that exact struggle during a crucial season at work. This is not about Keisha. This is about Leron. Let me tell you what happened. So I got a new job, right? This is back in 2020. I got a new job. We were working this new job in 2020. We got hired in January of 2020. And we're like, all right, new job, new position. This is a whole new field for me as far as work, right? And we was in the training process learning how to do the job. So I was like, all right, we're coming into work, going to the office, having these training sessions, having these meetups and meeting new people and all types of things, right? And of course, what happened in 2020? Got the job in January. What happened in March? COVID. So COVID hits, everybody works from home. I went from a job that is hands-on, physical, to now more of a cerebral job that is more data analytic and also more of a computer facing job in tech. And I was like, all right, from this one job to another job, I have to lock in and learn how to do this job. But now I have to do this while working from home. I needed deep focus to learn the role. But what did I do? What do everybody do? I kept grabbing my phone every 10 minutes. My choice of drug was called Instagram, right? Even when I set screen time limits, I just overrated because who's going to stop me from setting my screen time limits? If I said I want to go on, I'm just going on, right? Who's going to stop me? I knew it was holding me back, but the pull was way too strong. I knew that I had to get into deep focus and learn about this new role. But I'm back on Instagram, especially during 2020. So we started working from home in March. What happened in May? George Floyd. So now I'm in deep focus looking at people talking about George Floyd all day. And I couldn't really focus on my job. To the point I had to literally ask my manager for time off because going back to the anxiety of George Floyd, and I can't focus on my work. It kept pulling me. On average, Americans grab their phone or reach for their phone 96 times a day. That's every 10 minutes. And not to mention, for me, needed to focus to learn this new role while working at home when there was nobody over me just saying, Leron, get back into it. It was none of that. It was COVID. Everybody was separated from each other. Study shows it takes 2 to 15 minutes to regain focus after checking your phone. And just having a smartphone nearby lower cognitive performance because you see that phone there is something drawing you to pick up that phone again. It's something that, or I need to pick this phone up again, even though you know you're working on something. So for me to figure this out, I had to work either after work, it worked longer hours because I was at home, or I had to work longer hours before work started and just to catch up on learning the new role. I did catch up, but just imagine if I didn't have that distraction keep pulling me every 10 minutes. Now, this is part of the reason why I created the digital release. This is part of the reason why I speak about, the digital incarceration. I speak about it because I know a world before it, I know a world living in it, and I know a world being free from it. And it took me a long time to get free. It took me a long time to realize that this was an issue. Now, what about you? Have you ever had to focus on something, but your focus kept getting broken because of the phone is right there? Have you had to focus on something and say an email ping comes or your smartwatch goes off and you're like, oh, let me check this message. This message popped up. Something on Instagram popped up. Somebody said something to me on Instagram. Somebody said something to me on X, on Threads, on Facebook. I got a YouTube notification. Had that ever happened to you? Let me know in the comments because I know it definitely happened to me to the point that it took me longer than I wanted for me to learn the new role that I was in. The last thing I want to talk about in this episode is sleep disruption. Now, do you ever wake up tired even after 8 hours in bed? Your phone might be still in the rest you never knew you lost. I had to learn this the hard way, right? Now, another job, I used to travel for work, right? I used to travel for work 90% of the time I traveled. And me over consuming the phone, not realizing that I'm over consuming the phone, it nearly cost me my life. It nearly cost me my life because of the lack of sleep I was getting, right? Oh, you see this a lot at a lot of places where people are waiting to, maybe hop on a train, hop on a bus, hop on a plane. People would sit at the gate and just pick up their phone and doom scroll all day. They won't even look up. Only time they look up when they see that their group is being called at a plane, right? Say like group 1, 2, 3, first class or whatever. When their group is being called on a plane, that's the only time they look up. So traveling for work, we all did it, right? Everybody doom scrolling. Everybody on their phones. Then when I used to go to the hotel, I can't sleep because I'm not in my bed. I'm in some town that I'm not familiar with. Might be in a different time zone. All the stuff, right? That would ruin you from sleeping. I'll get into bed and doom scroll in bed, not even realizing the blue light was tricking my brain into thinking it was still daytime. I didn't realize how bad my sleep was suffering. I did not realize it. So when you don't get proper sleep, right? Your brain is not functioning on all cylinders. So one time, right, I traveled, I forgot what state this was. Like I've been to so many different states in the country, but I forgot what state this was. And I was traveling from one job to another job to get back to this other hotel so I could go to work the next day because I finished work in this other area. And I'm driving late night. Like I said, my sleep is not really sleep. And I noticed that I'm made a turn. I'm literally going in the wrong direction on the interstate. I'm literally going the wrong direction. I'm not even drunk. I'm just not focused. I'm not getting enough sleep to get the focus that I need. So I'm going down and I'm like driving. I see headlights. I'm like, what the heck is this? Then I hit a horn. Then I had to stare off into the median. Luckily, it was grass. So I was able to stare off into the median where the grass was at. And I just had to like stop, pause, and get myself together. Like, yo, what the heck just happened? What happened? And it was from me not getting the full sleep that I needed because I kept doom scrolling, kept going into bed, looking at this blue light. My brain wasn't in the process, and my brain wasn't in a state of, okay, Leron, it's nighttime, go to sleep. It wasn't in that process. It was still thinking it was daytime. Imagine for me, my family, my loved ones, if I didn't get it together and was able to get into the grass and just think for a bit like, damn, I'm almost died. Almost had a head-on collision. And from Harvard Medical School, they give out a warning. It warns that nighttime blue light exposure suppresses melatonin and disrupts circadian rhythms, increasing the risk of chronic diseases. All right, so I would say this. After that happened with me driving on the wrong side of the street, going head on, looking at headlights. After that happened, I realized that I had to make a change when it comes to sleeping. I had to put down the phone. So this is what I did. And let me know if you realize, using the phone before you go to sleep, if you ever have done anything to counterproduct that, what have you done, right? I'll give you a perfect example. Shout out to Toby. You see his book behind me, The Price Principle. He said whenever he gets the urge to get on the phone and scroll while he's in bed, instead he has a book now. He pick up the book and read the book as opposed to scrolling on social media. Like, what do you do? But this is what I did. I started charging my phone outside my bedroom. I charged my phone in the kitchen, right? And, we use our phone as a clock. So instead of using my phone as a clock, what I started to do is I just bought a digital clock, a low light digital clock. So that clock I could look at, it won't be so bright. I can see what time it is. And whether the time it is or not, I could, decide to get up or decide to keep going to sleep or stay asleep. So that was two things that helped me: keep the phone out the bedroom and buy a digital clock. And to this day, most nights I charge my phone outside the bedroom. I charge it in my office because just that light alone, I know what it does to me now. I know that light is tricking my brain. I know that light is putting on something to my brain for me to think that it's still daytime and is ruining my sleep. I know it could ruin other things in my life, like me driving down a one way on the interstate. But now just imagine checking your phone once every 10 minutes. Like I said earlier, that is exactly what the average person does. When I track my own habits, the numbers shock me. When I finally track my usage, I match the national average. about 96 times a day. And no wonder, that's why I felt scatterbrained before lunch, because I kept picking up my phone. But that is the reason why I started working on and creating the digital release, right? I worked on that book, and the stuff that I use, that I tracked, and the stuff that I use, the 7-day process, is in that book, right? I'm not saying give up your phone completely, but what I'm saying is you could definitely get control of it. Download the book, try those 7 steps. Like I said, I'll leave links in the comments, or I'll leave links in the show notes. Download the book, the digital release. For me, I started with small experiments, leaving my phone in other rooms, silencing notifications, and I felt my mind clearer within days. All right, but this is my call to action for you guys. Start small. Track your pickups, right? Set a bedtime screen limit. And also, download the digital release for a 7-day plan to escape the digital incarceration. Appreciate you guys. All right, man, till next time. Peace. Real Rap Ron is signing off. All right, later. 1.